She didn't scream. She didn't cry either. She just sat in the middle of it all, while people laughed at her honor. And then, a stranger stood up, and everything changed. The wedding hall was ablaze with lights. Crystal chandeliers hung from the ceiling, white and gold curtains fluttered in the breeze, and soft music gave a sense of joy to the atmosphere. There was laughter everywhere, expensive dresses, sparkling jewelry, and the noise of taking pictures. But in the noise, it all became meaningless to Alina Parker, sitting in a corner. She was sitting at the very end of the hall, where people who are considered to be merely formal are often seated. Her deep blue dress was beautiful, but not on her body, at least not in people's eyes. She had chosen small pearl earrings to wear in her ears, thinking that perhaps simplicity would win her acceptance. But acceptance, this word, had never been easy in her life. Alina had always been fat, in school, in college, and now in this wedding hall. People made judgments not by the smile on her face, but by the look on her body. She knew that even today, some eyes were weighing her weight, some whispering about her dress, and some laughing, mocking her existence. She wasn't crying out loud. She was just breaking down silently. Her hands were gripping the edge of the table tightly, as if she would shatter if she let go. Her eyes were moist, but she was blinking back tears. She didn't want to reassure anyone that she was weak. At that moment, a voice came from a nearby table. "This chair will be able to support her weight, right?" A loud burst of laughter erupted. Alina's heart sank into her chest. Her ears began to burn. She recognized the voice, one of the groom's friends who thought he was very interesting. Her eyes dropped. She laced her fingers together. A woman, dressed in expensive clothes, leaned into the other's ear and said, "Why do people like that come to weddings?" Alina took a deep breath, but the breath stuck inside her. She wanted to run away. She wanted to disappear. I wish the ground would crack. But she was alone. Her family was busy in the other part of the hall. Someone was dancing, someone was taking pictures. No one noticed that a girl was quietly breaking down. But someone did. Standing at the other end of the hall was a man named Noah Harper, watching it all. Noah was about 40, tall, strong, but his eyes were gentle. He was not a wealthy businessman, nor dressed in a shiny suit. He was wearing a simple gray jacket, and his life experiences were clear on his face. He had not come here for any special joy. He was an old friend of the groom, and had left his daughter at home to attend the formalities. Noah had lost a lot. He had lost his wife in an accident. That pain had taught him what silent suffering was like. And he recognized that pain. When he saw that people were laughing at Alina, making fun of her weight, and that the girl was breaking down inside, his steps automatically began to move forward. It was not anger. It was sympathy. It was humanity. As Noah walked forward, the laughter around him began to fade. People began to look at him, a strange calm and strength in his eyes. Alina had not seen him yet. She was staring at the white handkerchief in front of her, which had tear stains on it. Another sentence rang in her ear. "If the cake falls, everyone will blame him." This sentence was the final blow. Alina's shoulders began to shake. She put her hand over her mouth, but she couldn't stop sobbing. By then, Noah had reached her. Without saying anything, he slowly stood behind her chair and placed his hand. He didn't touch her, he didn't threaten her, he just made her feel present. There was only one sentence in his deep voice. "That's enough." The voice wasn't a scream, but it had such power that the laughter stopped abruptly. People started looking at each other. Embarrassment began to show clearly on a few faces. The man who had made the joke began to look away. Alina slowly raised her head. Her eyes were red, her face wet with tears. When her gaze met Noah's, she was stunned. There was no judgment in his eyes. There was no pity. There was only respect. Noah pulled up the empty chair next to her and sat down. In silence. Without question. Without advice. Just with. Alina felt for the first time that maybe she wasn't really alone. After dinner, Noah asked softly, "Would you like to go outside for some fresh air?" Alina nodded slightly. The night outside was cool. There were stars in the sky. The two stood in silence for a while. Then Alina said, "I never thought a stranger would stand up for me." Noah smiled and said, "I never thought someone would be left so alone." They kept talking. Of pain. Of life. And of the hope that sometimes comes from strangers. When they re-entered the hall, the atmosphere had changed. No whispering. No laughter. Just quiet respect. And Alina. She wasn't walking hunched over anymore. Because someone had reminded her that she was enough. Read if this story touched your heart. Then be sure to like, share, and subscribe to Kindness Narratives. Tell us in the comments. Has a stranger ever changed your life?